Hello. Alright, so it looked like the stream actually went offline when I closed the game to restart the lobby, so sorry about that. But the stream is now back up, and the lobby is also back up, and we're ready to get this race underway after a bit of a delay. And everyone's still in the same qualifying position. Hopefully everyone is still on the right tyres. We'll have to check. Yeah, everyone is on the soft tyres apart from the Chaos Druid, who is outside the top 10 and actually joined late, and it's the reason we had to restart the lobby. But we're back, and it's the formation lap now, and the drivers are just heating up their tyres before the race gets underway. And let's see, I don't really know how this is going to play out at all, but yeah, the game said the predicted strategy is going to be a soft medium. But if I had to guess, I think a few drivers are going to go with the soft medium strategy, especially people like Game Freaks and Chris, who are at the front of the grid. I think the one stop is definitely the better option for them, so that they don't get held up in any traffic. So if I had to guess, they'll probably box 4 mediums on lap 11, 10, 11 or 12. If they box any earlier than that, they are most likely going to be on the 2 stop. So yeah, watch out for that. If any of the drivers box on lap 10, 11 or 12, they're most likely going to be doing the 1 stop. And you can do a soft medium strategy around here. So as we see now, Game Freaks is lining up on the grid on pole position, and he's on the soft compound tires. And let's see if he can get a good start in this Bahrain Grand Prix. He's going to need it for a best start to a season with a pole and a win. I'm sure he'd be very happy with that. But let's focus on what's happening right now. We have 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 red lights. They're gone and we're away. What kind of start is it? As it actually looks like Sean gets a great start off of the grid, and it looks like he's actually going to jump Game Freaks, who gets a horrible start off the grid. It looks like Sean is trying to go around the outside of Chris, and now goes side by side into turn 3 as Game Freaks goes a bit wide there. It looks like Level Sean is actually looking to take the lead of the Grand Prix. Is he going to go around the outside into turn 4? He's fully alongside, but does he have the grip? No, he does not. Chris stays ahead on lap 1, and he is now up into the lead, and Game Freaks has not had the best of starts. He's fallen down into P3. Level Sean moves up into P2. That's a great start from him. Lem moves up into P5. He's going side by side with Game Freaks teammate King David, and it does not look like he's going to make that move, so he's going to have to stay in P5 for now. Collie in P6 with Sri Ross making up a couple of positions. He's up into P7 now, and Oscar is right behind him. Then the Albrecht, Zarix, the Chaos Druid, and it looks like Nier has actually made a mistake. He's fallen all the way down to last place, and that is a shame to see. Does he have any wing damage? We'll have to see as he comes by now. Is he missing a front left end plate? Yes, he is. So he's gotten wing damage off of the first lap, and that is a shame to see. He's going to have to box for a new wing. And it looks like Game Freaks is staying quite close to the back of Level Sean now. And coming on to lap 2, is he going to be looking for a move into turn 1? We'll have to see. He's in the slipstream. He's got the ERS turned on, and he pulls out of the slipstream now, and it looks like he's going to make the move. He's using a lot of ERS to make this move stick, and I think he had to use about 40% there, as it looks like Level Sean really good on the brakes there, and he tries to go around the outside of Game Freaks, but it looks like Game Freaks is going to maintain the position, and Game Freaks moves up into P2, but Level Sean is now under pressure from Game Freaks teammate King David going into turn 4. It looks like King David is actually going to overtake Level Sean, so Level Sean loses 2 positions in just 4 corners, and he's gone from having a great start to not the best of starts. Actually looks like he gets all over the curb there, and that is going to give Lem the chance to go down the inside into turn 8. Can Lem make the move stick? coming into turn 9 now. Level Sean has the inside, and can Lem stick it around the outside? Does not look like he has the grip for that, so he has to go a bit wide there. And it looks like Level Sean is going to keep the position for now, and he is now into B4, but it actually looks like Lem is going to try and go down the inside into turn 10, and now turn 11. Can he stick it around the outside? No, he can't, as looks like Level Sean a little slow on the apex there, and now they're losing a lot of time to the two McLarens ahead, and it looks like Level Sean has actually lost the DRS to King David ahead of him, and Game Freaks has lost the DRS to Chris, so not the best starts. The DRS is now going to be enabled on lap 3 as we come across the line. Chris sits a 129.8, and he's going quite fast at this early stage of the Grand Prix, and it actually looks like King David had a little look down the inside of Game Freaks into that last turn, but it actually looks like Lem has been spun at turn 1. I think that was a bit of a late braking from I'm not sure who that was. I think it was the Onobrecht. Broke a bit late into turn 1. He spun Lem and himself, and they've both lost lots of time and positions, and Lem has also gotten a 3-second time penalty. He's down P11 now, just a little bit behind the Chaos Grid, and yeah, I think that was just some very late braking from the Onobrecht. And has he got wing damage because of that? And on the offboard cam it does not look like he does, and Lem hasn't got wing damage either. So neither of the drivers have wing damage, thankfully, but they've lost a lot of time and positions, and it looks like the drivers are starting to break DRS from each other. Chris has broken the DRS to Game Freaks, King David has broken the DRS to Sean, Sean's broken the DRS to his teammate Collie, and Sweet Ross is actually in the DRS of Collie, as looks like Level Sean went a bit wide there coming out of turn 11, and out of turn 12 now. He's going to be using a lot of the ERS to try and get in the DRS. He's down to 15% now, so he's used a lot in these first 3 laps, and he's almost in the DRS of King David, but he's not quite there yet. King David actually has the DRS on Game Freaks. Could McLaren use this to their advantage, because King David has the straight line speed? Could he get into the DRS of Chris ahead of him coming into turn 1? The gap is just over 1 second, so it does not look like he'll be getting the DRS coming into turn 4, but the McLarens could use this to their advantage by pulling each other along and trying to get into the DRS of Chris ahead of him. You can see the gap is 1.001 seconds. They're very, very close to the DRS, and that was 9/10 there for a second, so let's see if they can get the DRS coming out of turn 9. But into turn 8 first. It looks like King David has actually gotten a pretty decent exit out there. The gap is now 9/10. He's using plenty of the ERS, and he's gotten into the DRS of Chris ahead of him. And now it looks like it's going to be a 3-man battle for the lead of the Grand Prix. As you can see, King David's DRS is wide open and in the slipstream of Chris ahead of him. So coming into turn 10 and now 11, he's still in the DRS. The gap is now 7/10, and it looks like King David is going to be maintaining the DRS for the next few laps, and that is going to gain him a lot of lap time. He's still using plenty of the ERS. He's down to about 20%, whereas Chris is in the 40%, and Game Freaks has about 30%. So they're pretty similar on the ERS usage, but now King David has the DRS, and he actually sets the fast lap of the Grand Prix. So you can see King David is going very fast to the stage. Is he going to go for a very late dive into turn 1? He has to think about it, and he actually makes contact with the back of Chris's right rear. So that was a pretty dodgy, half-hearted move from King David there. But it looks like he's going to have a little look once again down the inside into turn 4, but does not break late enough. So yeah, I think that was a bit not the best driving coming into turn 1 there, and just gave a bit of a tap on Chris's right rear. Sweet Ross has now actually overtaken Collie for P5 in this race, and he's trying to get some decent points for Ferrari here, with his teammate being in the lead. He wants to get as many points as possible, and it looks like the top 6 are Ferrari, McLaren and Alpine cars, as yeah, those were the 3 teams I thought were going to do well in the first part of this stream. But yeah, it looks like Collie is now on the back of Sweet Ross, but could Sweet Ross possibly push hard enough to try and get into the DRS of Level Sean? Level Sean's been pushing quite hard, and he's maintaining about a 1.5 second gap to the cars ahead as he goes a bit wide there, coming out of turn 12 on the exit of that turn. And yeah, the gap is now 1.7 seconds, so it's going to be definitely very hard for him to catch up to the cars ahead of him, because they all have DRS. King David once again has DRS on Chris ahead of him. Is he going to be looking for a move into turn 1? I don't think he should, but he does pull out the slipstream. Once again goes for a very late dive into turn 1, and can he make this move work? Because he now has the DRS, and he tries to go for the switchback on Chris, and it looks like this might actually work. Coming into turn 4, King David is now in the lead of the race, but his red light is flashing, so he is below 10% ERS. He has not got that much ERS in this race because he's been pushing nice and hard to try and get ahead of Chris, but he is now ahead. But is this a good thing? Because now Chris can just save up the ERS, or does he want the lead of this Grand Prix? We'll have to see, as on the exit of turn 9, is Chris going to be looking for an overtake on this DRS straight? We'll have to see, as he has the straight line speed over King David. He's getting nice and close, but it does not look like he wants to overtake King David. So it looks like Chris is going with a more of a long-term strategy, as you can see, not using any of the ERS. He wants to save that up so that he can use plenty of it when he needs to. And he's under quite a bit of pressure from Game Freak's behind. It looks like the gap between P1 and P3 is just 4/10. As Game Freaks thinks about going down the inside into the final turn. Can he make the move? And Chris is trying to hold it around the outside, just leaving each other enough space. And they both have DRS, but it looks like Chris was saving up his ERS, and it's helped him out quite a bit, as he's now up, maintained P2. Is he going to be looking for a move on King David? No, he's not, but Game Freaks is going to be looking for a move on Chris ahead of him. Chris has maintained P2 for now, but it looks like Game Freaks is trying to do the exact same thing as King David did the very last lap, but it looks like Chris, with the DRS this time, has the straight line speed, and he's going to maintain the position. But Game Freaks is still trying to fight this, but coming into this S section, it looks like Chris is going to maintain P2 in this race. So Game Freaks needs to make these two overtakes, because if his teammate is ahead of him at the pit stop, they're going to have to double stack, or Game Freaks is going to have to continue on for one more lap, which would definitely not be ideal for his strategy. So that's why he's playing a bit aggressive and wants to get ahead of the drivers ahead of him. But as you can see, Chris getting nice and close to the back of King David, but he still does not want to overtake at this stage of the Grand Prix. He's just trying to save up his ERS, and the DRS from King David helped him a lot in defending from Game Freak. So I think he just wants to stay in this P2 position, but he actually uses a bit of the ERS coming out of turn 12. So will he be looking for a move into turn 1? We'll have to see. It's a DRS straight here, and he's going to open up the DRS. He's not going to take the slipstream of King David, but then decides to pull in the slipstream of King David. He's got the straight line speed. King David is under 10% ERS. He's really dummying to the left and then goes to the right. He's going to go down the inside of King David, but he goes a bit deep. But it looks like he might actually make this move stick, because he actually gets a 3-second time penalty. But it looks like, yeah, he is going to make the move stick, and Game Freaks is actually trying to go around the outside of Chris. Could he make a double overtake in 4 corners? He's going to try and go around the outside at the S section, but decides to back out of it, because he's definitely not going to make that move stick. As King David was lagging a bit there, it looked like he actually spun, but he's down into P3, and Game Freaks has gotten himself into the perfect position. He's ahead of his teammate, and he is going to have priority when the pit stops come. So Chris is now in P1, but he has a 3-second time penalty. He went way too deep into turn 1 trying to overtake King David, and that is going to hurt his race in the long term, because right now he's in a net P3 after that 3-second penalty has been applied. So Game Freaks has the luxury of just staying behind him and technically maintaining the lead of the race. So I think Game Freaks is going to be quite inclined to do that, but he might look for an overtake on Chris to put a car between himself and his teammate King David. It looks like a couple of drivers have actually boxed for the medium compound tires, including Level Sean and the Chaos Druid. The Chaos Druid was being overtaken by Level Sean around the outside into turn 10. It looks like they've actually made contact, and that has lost the Chaos Druid a lot of time and possibly a wing, but it does not look like his front right end plate is actually damaged. So he's going to continue on his medium tyres, as it actually looks like I was right that Game Freaks wanted to put a car between himself and King David. And is King David going to be looking for a move into turn 4? He tries to go around the outside, but he can't make the move stick because it looked like he might have actually gotten boxed in there by Game Freak. So he tries to go for the switchback. Instead, he goes down the inside into the S section, but he can't make the move stick into turn 8. Does he go down the inside? No, he does not. He's going to maintain P3 for now. And Game Freaks has already pulled out a 7/10 gap on Chris behind him. So he's doing pretty decent at this stage of the race. But everyone who's boxed for medium compound tyres, Level Sean, Collie, Zarex, Dion Albrecht, and Lem, they are all going to be on the 2-stop in this race. But the top 4, Game Freaks, Chris, King David, and Sweet Ross, are all on the 1-stop in this race from soft to mediums. And yeah, it looks like we might actually have a constructors battle this season, because last season it was Dry XL and Game Freaks who absolutely dominated the constructors championship. But this season it looks like Ferrari and McLaren will be battling it out for the constructors. But it's only been one race, and it looks like Prashri and Piqui, last season's reigning champion Piqui, couldn't make it this race, and neither could Prashri. So maybe if they come next race, they'll be able to oppose a bit of a challenge and possibly bring Mercedes and whatever team Piqui is on. But it looks like King David is going to go, or not King David, Chris is going to try to go down the inside of Game Freaks into turn 1. Who's going to have the DRS for the run down to turn 4? It looks like Chris has the DRS. Is King David going to be looking for a move into turn 4 on his teammate? And it looks like the answer is yes, as or maybe not. No, I'm getting confused with the cars here. It looks like Game Freaks has actually re-overtaken Chris into turn 4 even without the power of the DRS. So Game Freaks showing great pace at this stage of the race. But the pit stops are coming up soon. So I think 2 of the drivers, one McLaren and one Ferrari, are going to be boxing this lap. And the other 2 will be boxing next lap. So we'll have to see. And Game Freak still maintains the lead of the race and has the priority in the pit lane, and Chris has priority in the pit lane over Sweet Ross, his teammate, in the Ferrari, as Chris had a little look around the outside into turn 10 there, but wasn't fully committed to the move, as he's just going to stay behind Game Freaks for now. And coming into the 3rd sector and the final turn, who is going to box this lap, we'll have to see, as I think if they want to I think if King David and Sweet Ross want to have the best strategy, they're going to have to box this lap. So coming onto this lap, it looks like Chris has actually pulled into pit lane, but both of the McLarens have stayed out. So King David might have to double stack in this race, or he's going to go very long. But it looks like Sweet Ross has decided to double stack. So he could have stayed out for one more lap and had fresher mediums, but he's decided to double stack. And I don't know if that was the best choice. And I don't know if it was the best choice from King David either. So both of the second drivers making some interesting decisions here. I think King David should have boxed and Sweet Ross should have stayed out, but they've gone with the exact opposite of what I thought they were going to do. And it looks like King David is now going to have to double stack behind his teammate if he boxes that, but maybe he's going for a big overcut on the 2 Ferraris. We'll have to see, as let's see who is battling each other. It looks like the Chaos Druid has actually overtaken Zarex in the 1st sector. Zarex and the Albrecht go side by side into turn 4. The Albrecht with the inside line. Looks like he gets on the power a bit too early there, and thankfully doesn't fully lose the car, but he loses quite a bit of time to the cars ahead of him. Is Zarex going to be looking for a move down the inside into turn 8? No, he is not, but he's getting quite close to the back of the Chaos Druid. He is going to have the DRS for this next straight. He's on 60% ERS. So let's see what kind of move he can get on the Chaos Druid. Chaos Druid gets a little bit of wheel spin, it looked like, out of turn 9 there into turn 10. Looks like Zarex is using plenty of the ERS, and into turn 10 the Chaos Druid, it looked like he might have actually moved a little bit under the braking zone there, but is Zarex going to be able to hold it around the outside into turn 11? It actually looks like he does. But into turn 12, the Chaos Druid is going to dive down the inside. He brakes very late, and Zarex is just going to go for the switchback as Level Sean retires from the session, which brings out the safety car. It looks like he got a bit too early on the power out of the last turn, and this has really helped out possibly Game Freaks. But no, it doesn't, because he's actually lost track position to Chris, as looks like the safety car is actually getting in the way of these two drivers. Have either of them got wing damage? Hopefully not, but it actually looks like it hasn't benefited Game Freaks that much. He's gained a little bit of time on Chris, so the undercut hasn't worked out for Chris. But King David now gets to box under safety car conditions and is going to have the fresher tyres and the lead of the Grand Prix. So it's definitely going to be interesting, as almost every driver has now boxed for medium compound tyres, apart from Collie and Jan Albrecht, who actually decides to stay out for track position. We'll have to see if Collie boxes this lap. But yeah, King David on those soft tyres, he's going to be boxing for mediums, and those are going to go to the end of the race, and that's really helped him out in this race, as he is now going to have track position and the fresher tyres. But Chris's penalty is really going to hurt him now, with the safety car bunching up all of the drivers, and Swiros, this now brings Swiros into the battle for the lead of the Grand Prix along with the rest of the drivers. King David now pulls into the pit lane. He's going to put on a set of medium compound tyres, which will bring him to the end of the Grand Prix, and a lap fresher medium compound tyres could make a big difference, especially at a track like Bahrain where the tyre degradation is so high. So let's ride on board with Collie here. Is he going to pull into pit lane? It looks like the answer is yes, so he is going to go onto the medium compound tyres until the end of the race. It's going to lose him a little bit of track position, but also it saves him a lot of time compared to how much time he would lose if he boxed outside of safety car conditions. So it actually looks like he has a 5-second penalty that he has served in the pit lane there, and that's going to lose him even more track position. The Albrecht also decides to come into the pit lane for a fresh set of medium compound tyres. So it looks like everyone is on the mediums, apart from the Chaos Druid, who started on the mediums. He is now on the hards, and it looks like starting on the mediums was not the best strategy in this race, but everyone else is on fresh medium compound tyres, with the exception of a few people having one lap fresher tyres. So let's have a quick look down the grid. King David has inherited the lead of the Grand Prix after this safety car has been released because of level Sean DNFing, and he was actually looking quite good in this race for a top 6, but sadly getting a bit too excited on the power, I guess you could say, coming out the final turn, and it looked like that's what happened. He might have made contact with another driver, but I'm just assuming that he got a bit too early on the power, and he's now DNF from this race. But it looks like once again 2 McLarens and 2 Ferraris are at the top 4. King David in P1, and Chris is right behind him with a 3-second time penalty though in P2, and 1 lap older medium compound tyres. Game Freaks in P3, Swiros in P4, and it looks like Collie in the Alpine is in P5. So it doesn't look like he's doing. Looks like he's doing quite well for himself in this race. He's got Oscar right behind him in P6. Lem sadly has a 3-second time penalty from that collision at the start of the race with Jan Albrecht. He is down in P7. Zarek has moved himself up to P8 after not having the best of qualifying, setting a 29 flat after he couldn't get a proper lap in. He's got the Chaos Druid right behind him on the higher compound tyres, and then Jan Albrecht and Nier actually is the person in last place, as he made some sort of mistake or contact on the first lap that cost him a lot of time and positions. But this safety car is going to help out his race, because he is now going to bunch himself up with the rest of the grid, and it actually looks like he's going to come into the pit lane now. He's on fresh medium compound tyres, but he has now decided to come into the pit lane for what kind of tyres. Let's see, as it actually looks like it's medium. So I'm not sure what the strategy is or why he's come in to the pit lane for medium compound tyres, as he's actually gone on to used medium compound tyres. So he's gone from fresh mediums to 10 lap old mediums. I'm really not sure what the thought process was there, but that's really going to cost him any points in this race, because now he has to make an extra stop compared to everyone else. So yeah, I really don't know what the play was there, but he has now got to catch up to the safety car and also make another stop in this race. So he has completely thrown away any chance of points in this race. So I have no clue why he did it either. Because when it asks you to come into the pit lane, it says whether your tires are new or used. So it would have said used mediums, but he still decided to come into the pit lane even though he was on fresh mediums just like everyone else. So yeah, really not sure what thought process was, but he is basically out of contention in this race. But I think the safety car will be coming in this lap, and it'll be King David's job to try and get the best safety car restart possible, and maybe even break the DRS to Chris behind. But it actually doesn't look like the safety car is coming in this lap because we're waiting for Near to catch up to the safety car. Is the safety car going to stay out one more lap because of Near? No, it's not. The safety car is now in this lap, and King David is going to be leading away the rest of the grid. And let's see what kind of safety car restart he can get compared to the people behind him. As looks like Chris is getting nice close back of him, and looks like King David actually caught him off guard there. And this has helped out Game Freaks massively as he has a look down the inside, pulls into the slipstream. He's going to go around the outside into turn 1, and does he have the grip for this coming into turn 2 and 3 now? And looks like Chris is actually going to hold it around the outside into turn 2, and into turn 4 they're still side by side, and it looks like Chris is going to go down the inside of Game Freaks and maintain P2 in this race, as it looks like Sweet Ross is getting absolutely swamped off the start here as Oscar goes down the inside of him into the S section. Has he got wing damage? It does not look like he does, and he's just lost about 3 positions there off the safety car restart, so a really bad restart from him there. And Collie now moves up into P4 with Lem right behind him and Oscar in P6. So yeah, really bad safety car restart for the Ferrari driver, and that is going to cost him heavily in this Grand Prix. And it actually looks like the Chaos Druid made a mistake as he's fallen down to P11 and is 4 seconds behind the rest of the grid. And let's see who's getting a little close to each other. The top 3 are very close to each other, just 3/10 apart, as Lem gets another 3-second time penalty, which is really going to hurt him in this race. There is a DRS train all the way from P1 to P8 in this race, and Game Freak's trying to get the best exit out of the last turn. Is he going to be looking for a move? He uses a little bit of the ERS coming into turn 1, but it looks like Chris is actually using more ERS. Is he going to be thinking about going down the inside into turn 1? No, he's a little bit too far away for that. So he's just going to stay behind King David for now and bide his time and maybe wait until the DRS is enabled next lap before making a move on the McLaren drivers. So we'll have to see, as looks like Collie in P4, he's running a pretty decent race here for Alpine, and has a chance at a podium if he can stay within the DRS of the drivers ahead of him. Lem with 6 seconds of time penalties, that's going to cost him a few positions, and P5 in this race. Oscar having a pretty decent race in a net P5, so yeah, definitely a pretty good race for him. And he actually lost out on a podium. I think it was either the last or it was the second last round. He lost out on a podium in Jeddah. Could he get a podium this race? Maybe not, because Lem has actually lost the DRS to Collie ahead of him, who's actually sticking with the top 3. So maybe trying to pull Alpine into this battle and hand himself into this battle for the lead of the Grand Prix. And he's actually very close to the back of Game Freaks here, so he's showing pretty decent pace on these medium compound tires. Chris actually has 4 lap old medium tires, so he actually has 2 lap old medium tires or 2 lap older medium tires compared to King David and Collie, and 1 lap older compared to Game Freaks behind him. So let's see if he's going to be able to overtake King David with the worn tires. It's definitely going to be quite the challenge, but we'll have to see, as Collie is now in the DRS of the drivers ahead of him, and King David is not going to have the DRS for this straight. So is Chris going to be looking for a move down the inside? No, he is not. So he's just going to stay in P2 for now. He's a little far behind, as Game Freak is getting all over the back of him. He's less than 2/10 behind him, and might be looking for a move soon enough. And he does not have a look down the inside into turn 8 there. as he probably could have gone for a late lunge and made the mistake. But there's a DRS straight right here, and let's see if there's any position changes on this DRS straight, as on the exit here, Chris does not use any of the ERS. He's down to about 50%, so he's going to try to save up a little bit as he gets nice and close to the back of King David, and yeah, no real point using the ERS on that DRS straight, because it's quite hard to make a move into turn 10, but into turn 1 is a different story. So let's see if he looks for a move, because he's going to be under quite a bit of pressure from Game Freaks, who's under quite a bit of pressure from Collie behind him, so we'll have to see. As coming onto this DRS straight now, let's see what they do, as Oscar actually makes a move on Lem coming onto this DRS straight, and looks like Lem is actually going to fight back. Let's focus on this battle. Lem is going to fight back, and into turn 1 it looks like he's actually made the mistake, as the two Ferrari drivers, Sweeros, is going side by side with Oscar, who tries to go around the outside of Lem but can't make the move stick, as looks like he might actually make contact there, as the on-off bridge goes completely deep and wide out of turn 1, and that's the second time he's done that this race, and he's just losing himself seconds and seconds and seconds, and really struggling on the grass here. He's going backwards on the track, and that's most likely going to disqualify him from the session, and it has. So I don't know why he went backwards. I don't know if he gave up or something, but he is now disqualified from the session, and it looks like every other driver is now in the top 10 and going to be getting points from this race. Chris has actually made a move up into P1 now, and King David, without the power of the DRS, wasn't really able to defend. But since Chris has the 3-second time penalty, King David is now in the best position, because he has the DRS to defend from the drivers behind, and he's also in the lead of the race. So King David in a really good position, and Game Freaks is definitely going to be looking to take that away from him, with Collie waiting for the right time to make a move on the guys ahead of him. So we'll have to see, coming onto this DRS straight, what happens here with Chris in the lead. King David right behind him opens up the DRS, and is going to have a lot more straight line speed. Is he going to be looking for a move into turn 1? I think the answer is yes. Is he going to go to the inside or outside? He goes to the inside, and Chris is going to try hold it around the outside and into turn 2. It actually looks like he holds the position. King David tries to go for his switchback the second time this race. It does not work, but on the DRS straight, with that DRS and the straight line speed that he has, he's going to make a move down the inside into turn 4 and take the lead of the race from Chris, who is now behind him and really close behind, just 1/10 behind coming into the S section. Game Freak's getting quite close as well. Does not look for a move into turn 8. But King David is now in the lead of the race with 0 seconds of time penalties, and looking good to possibly win the season opener of Season 5, as there's 10 laps left in this race. So not much time to make overtakes, so they're really going to have to push at the later stage of the Grand Prix, and the tyres are going to be fall off the cliff at the end of the race as well, because they're going to have been on them for 15 to 17 laps. So the tyres are going to be really worn, so maybe it's a better option to make the moves now while your tyres are still fresh, instead of trying to make a move when your tyres have fallen off the cliff. So onto this DRS straight once again. Game Freaks is really close to the back of Chris ahead of him, coming off the exit of the final turn. And on this DRS straight, he has a DRS, but so does Chris. He's going to pressure Chris into a move down the inside of King David, and it looks like they go side by side once again. This is losing Game Freaks a lot of time, but he's going to try and follow Chris through, and he's getting very close to the back of Chris, and it actually looks like King David is going to make the move for the lead of the race. He's going to maintain the lead of the race over Chris as they go side by side. Game Freaks is really struggling here. He's trying to look for a gap, as you saw coming into turn 3, but he just can't find it. Could he go down the inside of King David into turn 8 here? He decides not to. King David actually leaves the space for Game Freaks, even though he wasn't alongside, and Chris now takes the lead of the race, going side by side into the S section, but still has that 3-second time penalty, which is really going to hurt him. That gained Lem a lot of time on the top 4. They went side by side for about a second and a half, and that has gained Lem about 1 second on the driver's head, and he is pulling Sweeros and Oscar along, and Sweeros who had a really bad restart, is going to be looking to make some moves and progress in this race to help out his teammate Chris in the battle for the lead, as Chris is most likely not going to be winning this race because of that 3-second time penalty, but we'll have to see. Them up ahead has actually used up all of his DRS. He's below 10% now, and Collie is getting quite close to the back of Game Freaks, but yeah, it looks like he did not get the best exit out of the last turn there. King David with the battle for DRS. It looks like he's going to make the move down into turn 1, down the inside, and can he make the move stick on Chris? Chris once again holds it around the outside, and it's kind of reminding me of the real life Grand Prix last weekend with Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc, where they just kept going side by side into turn 1 and 2. But it actually looks like Game Freaks is going to try and take advantage of the situation. He tries to go around the outside into turn 4, and now the S section, Chris's red light is still flashing at this stage of the Grand Prix. This is allowing King David to try and break the gap to the cars ahead. Game Freaks tries to go for the switchback a move on Chris, and Collie actually made a little bit of contact to the back of Game Freaks there, but Chris is going to maintain P2 in this race, and Game Freaks still just trying to find a gap. Being P3 and P4 in the DRS train is definitely not where you want to be, because it loses you a lot of time and you cannot make the overtake because the driver ahead of you always has the DRS. So yeah, Game Freak's really just trying to look for any gap he can find, but he could not find it that lap, and with just 8 more laps to go, he really needs to make this move soon enough, because Chris Wood on track is technically in the best position because he's in P2 in this DRS train, but he has a 3-second time penalty and his red light is flashing, as you can see close up of the wheel there. He's got 7% ERS. He has absolutely no ERS. Is Game Freaks going to be looking for a move on Chris into turn 1? Is anyone going to be looking for a move, as Game Freaks had a little look down the inside there, but he was not close enough to make the move. Coming down into turn 4 on this DRS straight, can anyone make a move here really, as Chris is getting quite close to the back of King David, but no one pulls out of the slipstream. They're just staying nice and close to each other, as yeah, Collie hasn't really had any chance or any gaps to really make an overtake, whereas Game Freaks has had a couple of goes, as he actually hits into the back of Chris there, and really pushing him through the corners, as getting a little impatient, I guess, as he really wants to make these moves, and he wants to make them now, as we're on lap 22 of 29, like I said, not too many laps to go, and he really needs to get a move on in this race. He might have to just save up the ERS and launch a big attack. As you can see, he's on 25%, Chris is on 25%, so if Game Freaks plays a little bit passive here and doesn't really go for the moves, he could save up ERS and then make a lot of overtakes towards the end of the race. We'll have to see if that's a strategy that he has in mind, and it does not look like it. He looks like he is very impatient and really wants to make this move, as he uses the ERS off of turn 12 and out of turn 13. He is in the slipstream of Chris, and looks like he's going to use the ERS once again, just absolutely depleting it, and I don't think this is going to be how you make a move. He's going to have a look down the inside, but he does not want to make it 3 wide as Chris goes down the inside of King David. Can Game Freaks finally make a move on one of these two drivers, as he's in the slipstream of King David. King David does not have the DRS coming into turn 4, but he uses plenty of the ERS, and once again Game Freaks cannot get in on the battle, and looks like that ERS was a bit of a waste there, because he couldn't really do much with it, because every time he tries to overtake P2, it puts P2 under pressure to overtake P1, and they end up going 2 wide, and he can't make it 3 wide because he knows that will not end very well, especially into turn 1. So he always has to back out of the move. So if he just saves up a bit of ERS and goes very aggressive into turn 1 on P2, maybe he can make the move a lot earlier and possibly even make a double overtake on the main DRS straight. But right now, he's just trying to find the gap, and he cannot find it. As it actually looked like Oscar and Near have both gone on the 2-stop, and they're now on soft tires, and I think Oscar actually set the fast lap of the Grand Prix. I can check here, and no, it looks like Near actually took the fast lap away from him with a 29 flat, which is quite fast at this stage of the Grand Prix on fresh soft compound tires and plenty of the fuel burned. But let's see, on this main DRS straight, looks like King David is quite a while away from Chris. So this would probably be the perfect opportunity for Game Freaks to overtake King David. But as you can see, he has no ERS. So yeah, it's pretty frustrating, not only for him to drive, but for me to watch a little bit, as he's just wasting all of his ERS and can't really make the move. And that was the perfect time for him to make the move when the gap between Chris and King David was about 7/10. And if he made the move, it wouldn't have put King David under pressure to overtake Chris. He would have been more focused on defending from Game Freaks. But Game Freaks has used up all his ERS and couldn't make the move into turn 1. Collie has almost lost the DRS on these guys ahead, so he's just been staying with them, and that's really helped him out against Lem. But on this next DRS straight, does he have the DRS? No, he does not, so he's lost the DRS, and that's going to lose him quite a bit of time. He's actually used the strategy that I've been talking about to save up the ERS. He's up to 30%, but he had to use a bit of it in the middle sector to try and catch up to the DRS of the guys ahead. But it looks like they're going to start to run away now, as it actually looks like he's playing with full traction control. So yeah, Chris is playing with no traction control, if I'm not mistaken, and Collie has actually managed to stay with them with full traction control, which really hurts you on the exit of each corner and also in the corners themselves, because you lose a lot of grip because of the traction control. And as you saw that from going into turn 11, he had to lift quite a few times going into turn 11. But now King David is looking for a move on Chris into turn 1. Chris just about leaving enough space. King David tries to go for the switchback like he's done many times this race, and he has the DRS. Can Game Freaks find the gap this time? As no, it looks like he's just going to stay behind, because it's now lap 25 to 29. They're still going side by side actually. And can King David make this move work? Yes, he can, as he has the inside line for the S's. And yeah, it looks like King David, as it actually looks like Chris tries to go around the outside into turn 8 and makes a bit of contact there with King David. And we're just watching from the onboard of Game Freaks. So yeah, it looks like Chris has now moved him, or maintained the lead of the race, I should say, as King David tried to overtake. But we're on lap 25 to 29 now, so there's not too many laps to go. So if Game Freaks just saves up his ERS here, he could be in a great position, because the two guys ahead of him have been pushing really hard, and their red lights were flashing coming into turn 1. So they're going to be using plenty of their ERS. So let's see, off of the exit of turn 12, it looks like he's actually gone with the strategy to conserve the ERS for the later laps of the Grand Prix, whereas King David and Chris are very low on the ERS. So yeah, there you go. Chris is in P1. Is King David going to be looking for a move? Is Game Freaks using ERS is a better question. It does not look like he's using any of the ERS. So once again, he's conserving the ERS, which is really going to help him in the long run. But it actually looks like he makes contact with the back of Chris there, and goes wide coming into turn 3. So yeah, I think he just broke a bit too late coming into turn 1 there, and hopefully that hasn't given him wing damage. But one person who has wing damage is Collie, as it actually looks like Game Freaks might have damage now. I think Collie got damage as well at some point in the lap, as I was being told in the chat by Level Sean, that yeah, as you can see, maybe he doesn't play with full traction control. I thought that coming into turn 11, because he had to lift so much, it was because he played with full traction control. But no, it's because he's actually got wing damage, and from this offboard camera, it's not very evident. You can't see either of the end plates being damaged, but he has got the wing damage, and that's losing him a lot of time to them and the cars there. But Game Freaks, that contact with Chris has given him damage and put him out of contention for the win in this race, and King David is in the perfect position. The only other person that could battle him for the lead of the race has a 3-second time penalty, so King David is looking good to win the season opener and contend for the championship this season. But we'll have to see. There's going to be 3 laps to go once he crosses the line, as we're getting into the very late stages of the Grand Prix. And Game Freaks has actually decided to box, so he thinks that he would have lost the position to Collie and Lem if he stayed out. But if he boxes, maybe make up a few of those positions. But I don't think that was the right choice. I think if he stayed out, it probably would have been able to maintain P3 in this race, if not maybe P2, because Chris has a penalty. But now he's fallen all the way down to P8, and it looks like the best position he's going to finish in is going to be P6 in this race, as Oscar is about 10 seconds off him. But it might not even finish there. There's only 3 laps left in the race. I think it would have been a better choice to just stay out and with the wing damage, as definitely would not have lost as many positions, because Oscar is 12 seconds behind Lem, who was about 5 seconds off of Game Freak. So yeah, I don't think he should have boxed there, but he has. And maybe he's going for the fastest at that point, but he's still going to lose points even if he gets that. So there you go, Collie in P3 with wing damage, but Sweetross is right behind him on the medium compound tyres and no penalties. So maybe Sweetross could actually get on the podium in this race, and it wasn't looking good for him at the early stages of the Grand Prix and the mid stage too. But he's now up into P4, and he will most likely be making the move on Collie, who actually spins out. He's done the exact same thing as his teammate. He's gotten too early on the power coming out the final turn, and he could have gotten points in this race if he played a little safer with the wing damage, but now he is going to come away with 0 points in this race, and that's promoted Sweetross into P3 and Lem into P4, and all the other drivers gaining a position in this race. But yeah, it looks like Sweetross might actually finish on the podium, as he actually goes side by side with Lem into turn 4. Both of their red lights are flashing, so they don't have a lot of ERS left, and it looks like Lem won't actually be battling for a podium because he has 6 seconds of time penalty. So it looks like Sweetross will be finishing P3, Chris will be probably finishing P2, and King David will probably win this race, and Game Freaks might have to come home with P7 with the fast lap points. So yeah, it's all going off in these final few laps, but we're going to ride on board with King David for the final lap of the Grand Prix, just to end off this exciting season opener in Bahrain. And it looks like he's not under a lot of pressure from Chris, but Chris has just been saving up the ERS, but so is King David, because he noticed that Chris was saving it up, so he was saving up a little himself. And now they're both on about 40%, but Chris has the DRS. He's going to try and make the move into turn 1, but this is going to give King David the DRS coming onto the run into turn 4. So I think King David could make an easy move coming into turn 4. We'll have to see. He's quite a bit behind though. He's about 4/10 behind. He's going to use all of his ERS and the power of the DRS. Is the straight long enough? It does not look like it is, and he's not going to be able to make the move down into turn 4. It's Game Freaks has a 27.2, which is absolutely rapid for a fastest lap in a Grand Prix, and that was just 1 second off of the pole time which he set. So he had amazing pace at this track and could have won this race, but yeah, he just broke a bit late into turn 1, and that gave him a bit of wing damage. It actually looks like Chris almost breaking the DRS, King David behind, but I think this could have been an easy win for Chris if he didn't get that 3-second time penalty. And as you can see, coming through these final few corners and into the third sector, he's well ahead, and King David has no chance of overtaking him. But with that 3-second penalty, it's going to demote him down to P2. So yeah, just a few silly mistakes in this race, going wide a few times, and that has cost him the race win. So Chris rounding out the final corner now, and that is going to end off the Bahrain Grand Prix. And there you can see he crosses the line to finish P2, with King David winning the season opener of Season 5, and that is a great start to his season, and I'm sure he's going to be really happy with that. It's a double Ferrari podium, just like we saw in real life, apart from in real life it was a 1-2. So both of the Ferraris getting up on the podium. Lem finishes with a decent P4, his teammate actually DNFing in this race, going way too deep into turn 1 a couple of times. Near finishes on in P5 after going with that interesting strategy, you could say, with boxing for used mediums. He manages to finish P5. Game Freaks finishes P6 with the fastest lap point, and Oscar finishes P7. And not the best of races. He had a good few seconds of time penalties, which lost him 2 positions there. The Chaos Route is going to be finishing P8 in this race, and it looks like Zarex is going to be the last person to cross the line, but still finishes P9 and gets himself 2 points in the season opener. And it looks like the Alpines, who I said were going to be battling it out for the Constructors' Championship, they have both DNF'd in the exact same spot, and I think they definitely have the pace, but I guess the consistency is lacking a little bit. So there you go, Zarex crosses the line to finish off the Bahrain Grand Prix and the season opener for Season 5 of SRL, as the fireworks are going off for King David's win in this season opener. And Sui Ross gets the driver of the day. He started P9 and worked his way up all the way into P3 on the podium. And yeah, the driver of the day definitely, it's between Sui Ross and King David, because King David drove such a great race, and Sui Ross also driving a great race, gaining so many positions off of his starting position. So yeah, it was a great race. Even with just 12 drivers, they were still able to deliver a great race with a great battle between the top 3, with sadly Game Freaks getting wing damage at the late stage of the Grand Prix. But yeah, that is going to be the season opener, and round 2 is next week at the very same time, but next week we will be racing at Imola, and that's definitely going to be an interesting one. So we'll have to see how that plays out, as it's very difficult to go side by side and actually keep it consistent there, as a lot of the curbs can hurt you. So that's going to be the race, guys. Hope to see you all next week, and goodbye.